Hey kiddos, I want to go through a few problems to help us get on the right track as far as finding trig functions. I'm going to fly through a couple of these so that this makes it a pretty short video. First off, we've got to deal with solving for basically just trig ratios. And if we're looking for cotangent of theta, I'm going to identify my angle, the one I'm looking for, label stuff like the hypotenuse, the opposite, and the adjacent side. And either from the information that you're given up above, which tells you that cotangent is the adjacent over opposite, or recognize that cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, which is opposite over adjacent. In this case, we're looking at 4 over 2, otherwise known as 2. Looking at number 2, same idea. We're going to find and label some stuff. So we got O, A, and H. And I don't know H, so let's find it. And to find that, we're going to do some Pythagorizing. So I've got 16 squared plus 12 squared is going to be H squared. That comes out to be 400. And if I take the square root of both sides, we get 20 is equal to that hypotenuse. All right, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so in this case is going to be 12 over 20. Or if you'd like to reduce that, that comes out to be 6 over 10, or 3 over 5. Skipping down to number 9, we got to find cotangent if we're given sine. First thing we do is draw a triangle. And I'm going to call this theta. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, 24 over 25. I'm going to Pythagorize to find this third side, which, by the way, is going to end up being 7, because 24 squared plus a squared is equal to 25 squared. That's going to give us a squared is going to be 49. Which means A is 7. Okay, cotangent is going to be adjacent over opposite. Labeling my triangle, you've got opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent, 7 over 24. And I'm going to go to the next page and see what else we got. Number 17, we're looking for the measure of the side indicated. That means look for the piece that has the variable. In that case, that's x. I'm going to circle my known angle. And based on this, we've got a hypotenuse, an opposite, and an adjacent. And if we're looking for x, and we know that's the opposite, and we know that h is 4.7, I use this to figure out that the trig function that has O and H is going to be sine. So sine of 26 is equal to x over 4.7. We are going to finish this up by multiplying by 4.7 to both sides. And when we do that, I just wrote an equals instead of a times. Sine 26 is equal to x. If you have a calculator, you can get that as a decimal answer. Otherwise, leave it as is. All right, I'm going to be done with this page. Jumping onward to the last page of the first part, we're looking at solving for an angle. And looking at the first one, here we've got an angle here. I'm going to, again, label stuff, hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent. And because I know adjacent and hypotenuse, I'm going to use cosine. So cosine of theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, 3 over 6. That means that inverse cosine of 3 over 6 is going to end up being that angle. You're welcome to leave it like this, or on a calculator, if you were to do this, you're going to get 60 degrees is your answer. Next up, we got some word problems. Here we're going to have an issue where we have to draw a picture to kind of go with this, and then from there we can make sense of the problem. All right, first off, we got a boy with 300 feet of string, angle of 38 degrees with the ground. All right, so I'm going to have my dude with a kite. I'm going to make the string on the ground, and here's my kite. Okay, we know this is 300 feet of string, and here we've got 38 degrees with the ground. What we want to know is how high above the ground is the kite, and that's a pretty good setup for this. I'm going to call this height, and I'm actually going to make it a Y instead of an H, just so that we don't have lots of confusing stuff as far as O, A, and H going on. Okay, I'm going to redraw my triangle just because that's a mess. Here we've got 38. Here we've got Y and 300. And based on this angle, we've got opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. What information do we know? We know the hypotenuse, and we're looking for the opposite. That tells me that if we're looking for O and H, that's a so sine. So sine 38 is equal to Y over 300. 300 sine 38 is equal to Y. And I'm assuming that you have a calculator in front of you. I don't, so I'm just going to leave that as is. And the final thing is, in the context of the problem, use a full sentence including units, which is going to be super fun with this. And I'm going to say the kite was 300 sine 38 feet, that's my units, above the ground. All right, next one, we got a ladder leaning against the wall making an angle of 74 degrees with the ground. Okay, here's my wall. Here's my ladder. I'm just going to draw a ladder like this. And 74 degrees with the ground, that means that goes there. The foot of the ladder is 6.5 feet from the wall. 6.5 goes in the bottom. How high on the wall, that's here, is the ladder. All right, again, I'm going to redraw my triangle. And separate from the picture now, this is called abstracting. So 74, 6.5, here's my right angle, question mark. And I'm going to label some stuff based on that angle. I've got opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent. Here we know A is going to be 6.5. We're looking for opposite is question mark. We got some OA stuff going on. So that's going to be from SOHCAHTOA, the TOA part. So we've got tangent of 74 is equal to question mark over 6.5. Solving that, we get 6.5 tangent of 74 is equal to the question mark. And again, hopefully you have a calculator in front of you so you can get a meaningful decimal. But now we're going to say the ladder was 6.5 tangent of 74 feet above ground.